Hey guys, how are you today? So whether it's crushing rebel scum, slaughtering Jedi, or murdering children even, Vader carries out the orders of his master, ruthlessly and efficiently. Why? Because Sidious is Vader's path to power. Having lost everything and everyone that ever mattered to him as Anakin Skywalker, the cybernetic Sith has nothing left to fear. He is a master of the Force and an absurdly powerful warrior, with no one in the galaxy to equal him. He is not afraid of personal harm or injury, for he doesn't fear death. He may even welcome it. To many, he is death, an unstoppable killing machine that yields to no one and can bring entire star systems to heel. So, for a creature like him, what order could the Emperor possibly give him that would prove the most difficult to obey and to all appearances even violate the Sith doctrine? Well, when in the issue I'm covering today, which is from Star Wars Age of Rebellion, Darth Vader #1, Sidious commands Vader to bend the knee, not before him, but to a middle management bureaucrat. His dark side apprentice is furious. Why would his master ask a Sith Lord to humble himself like that? The Sith do not humble, especially not Vader. So let's find out if there might be a little more to this. Our story opens up on the mid-rim world of Namzor, where the Empire is in full conquer mode. Under the command of Governor R, an Imperial Star Destroyer unleashes its squadron of fighters against insurgents fighting on the planet's surface. But before the Governor can order their bombing, he's informed that they have bunkered themselves directly over stores of coaxium, which is a rare and highly explosive type of hyperfuel mined on Kessel, and the prize the Governor is there for. He quickly orders his fighters to pull back, as he doesn't wish to destroy the hyperfuel. The fighters disengage, except one, Vader. The Dark Lord continues blasting the freedom fighters below, ignoring the Governor's orders for him to stop. And then, Krakoom! The insurgents, along with the Governor's prize, go up in flames as Vader annihilates their bunker. Outraged over Vader's disregard of him, the Governor contacts the Emperor and complains about what Vader just did. He disobeyed his orders, destroyed the prize the Governor was charged with securing. Vader simply explains that the insurgents were planning an escape. He put a stop to it. Sidious asks, then, if Vader was aware of the Governor's orders. Now, I should point out this takes place before Episode 4 in the earlier days of the Empire, so Vader is now, fully committed to the Emperor, but also new enough in his role as a Sith that he is still subjected to specific tests of will by his master. Vader doesn't answer the question. So, the Emperor goes on to apprise him that as his apprentice, in Sidious's absence, none outrank him. However, for all his skills, he is no bureaucrat, but the Governor is. Not realizing that the Emperor just mocked him, the Governor is honored to be called a bureaucrat, to Sidious's mid-amusement. Continuing to address his apprentice, the Sith Lord asks if Vader knows his master's will. Vader answers by kneeling before his hologram form. Sidious then lets him know that when he obeys the Governor, he is serving his will. Vader's mind flashes in rage. To himself as a young slave on Tatooine being chastised by Watto. To when the Jedi Council refused to make him a master. Then to himself burning up in front of Obi-Wan on Mustafar. And finally, to when Sidious used Force lightning on him, right after he woke in his new dark armored form. His master can feel Vader's rage. He knows he hates it every time he kneels, even before him, which he finds pleasing. However, the Governor knows the sector of the galaxy they are in. With his knowledge, it will be subdued much quicker. So, it is Sidious's will that Vader will obey the Governor's every order to the letter, until he has learned his lesson. And so it goes, heading to the mid-rim world of Krantarium, a planet devastated and overrun by killer droids that have run wild for decades. The Imperial patrol the Governor sends in is quickly overwhelmed. These droids have rebuilt themselves to become 1,000 times deadlier than any security droids. To send anyone down to try and rescue the patrol is suicide, which is exactly why the Governor decides to send Vader, who of course the droids are no match for. When he returns to the Star Destroyer, he ignites his Crimson Blade in front of the Governor, but before he lets his temper get the better of him, he heeds his master's words and extinguishes the saber. A bit later on the moon Fells of Fam, Vader and his stormtroopers are in the midst of battle with another group of fighters, only within an hour of total victory, but in orbit above on his Star Destroyer, the Governor orders the troops to retreat. All that is, except for Vader. It's now the Dark Lord alone against an army. After their defeat, Vader returns to the Star Destroyer, much to the Governor's disappointment. Frustrated with Vader's incredible ability to survive, the Governor decides to take the destroyer to the Kankelo Belt containment zone, despite protests from his subordinate. It is Imperial policy not to disturb that section of space. The Governor is aware, but doesn't care. Once they arrive in the zone, he specifically commands Vader to enter the asteroid belt and destroy the greatest threat you find. We soon find out that the zone is restricted on a large broken asteroid chunk, is a gigantic crab-like monstrosity that immediately goes to attack the Sith Lord's fighter. But instead of engaging the creature, Vader turns around and heads back to the Star Destroyer, much to the Governor's outrage. Over comms, the Governor demands Vader kill that thing, as he ordered him to, but that wasn't the order he gave. Vader tells him back. No, the Governor specifically told Vader to destroy the greatest threat he found, that threat being the Governor himself. So, Vader heads for the bridge, but the Governor adamantly reminds him that the Emperor told Vader to obey him to the letter, and commands him to kneel. Vader hesitates, but then kneels, preventing him from being grabbed by the gigantic claw of the creature that just that second smashes through the bridge of the Star Destroyer and clutches up the Governor, pulling him and several of his crew out into the dark depths of space. Far away on Coruscant, the Emperor senses Vader's victory and lets out his infamous cackle. Vader has learned an important lesson about being a team player, and not always just a blunt instrument in dealing with opposition. And with that lesson learned, Vader stands triumphant as the rest of the Star Destroyer's surviving crew all kneel before him. So, what do you guys think? Vader had to learn how to bend the knee at some point to ultimately grow more powerful. Interesting. That planet overrun with killer droids was kind of cool too. I wonder if we'll ever see more of those or get details on how that happened. Also, the giant space slug from The Empire Strikes Back, the weird space whales Ezra was in communication with in Rebels, and now this space crab. I wonder how many other creatures can live in the vacuum of space, and what could they possibly look like? Anyway, leave me your thoughts down below. I know I usually bring these comics to life, but I also like covering them like this too sometimes, so let me know which one you prefer. Have a nice day, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.